That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. This is the BAM Pod. I'm your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, after last week, or after, a couple weeks ago, our interview with Austin, and we went over a lot of stuff at some of the topics out here in the West Coast, and so I told you then, and I followed through on that, and I went out, and I've got the man, Mark Lassagne, tonight. So, Mark, welcome in the show, man.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is your show. So, we kind of expect it, but I did want to, get you in here. And last week's couple episodes I put out with Austin, we talked about letting you kind of speak for you. This is a hard time out here on the West Coast. And I know some people are like, whatever, it just happens. Okay. But it was still a little bit of a gut punch. We were kind of going down a direction that we felt like it was going to be great. And you're basically just picking up the reins and decided that you want to do something out here with good backing. Your reputation has been flawless and spotless for most everything. You bring a great name to this sport. You've been in this sport for since dirt was born, so it's one of those things that you really enjoy this whole thing. And I think you're definitely the guy that can bring something to this business that we've needed. So, what do you really feel like when, I'd like to know a little bit about like maybe how you felt with this whole thing going down, and then what just made you decide to, what, this can be done. And I know it can be done.
Yeah. So, I know I'm probably not the only guy on the planet that could pull this off, but, I think I have, I have a good magazine, good media background. I have a lot of friends, and, so many of them would come out the woodwork, as I'm starting to put this together, and it's been truly amazing. There's a couple guys out there that, doom and gloom, but, for the 99.9% of them, they're all great. So let me first off say, this is not WWBT2. This is not Wild West continued. It's nothing like that. Okay. What it is that I bought their equipment, and yes, I'm going to use that equipment. I'm going to rebrand it, but now it's my equipment. It's not theirs anymore. Okay. It is not their trail. Okay. There's going to be some similarities. We're going to have a pro-am, we're going to have a pro tour, and we're going to have kayaks. We're currently not going to do teams right off the top. So I think that's kind of where the similarities are going to end. I sent out a survey. I had like 800, 900 people fill this survey out where, hey, this is, I asked a multitude of questions and said, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then I got a lot of answers. Some of them surprised me, and I was like, okay. And so now really what I want to do is understand the angler, the guy fishing the tour, the tournaments with us, because they're my customer. If you guys listening out here, if you're going to come and fish, you're my customer, right? And my job is to make the customer happy. Okay. I'm not under any illusions that think, hey, just because we have a national magazine, everybody's going to show up and fish. No, we have to make sure that, everybody's taken care of and we do this right. And I'm really working hard at that to try to get it, to try to do it right. And, and make sure that as many people are as happy as possible. I know I can't make everybody happy. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But I know this, there's going to be a couple that aren't going to be happy. And sorry, man, I wish y'all the luck.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you said a couple things there that have really been missing maybe, and that's, this is something that, you as an angler have been the customer. And in some tournaments, I'm sure you've been happy. Other tournaments, I'm sure you've been not so happy. It's just the sport in general. Like you said, you never make everybody happy, but you can strive to make a quality event that people keep coming back to. I mean, every restaurant doesn't make the right pork chop, but the people keep coming back. So obviously they're doing something right. And I think that's really what you can ask. One of the things you said, you ask all these questions. What was the number one question or what was the number one response that people had to you, to anything that you had? Was there something you just kept seeing over and over and over again?
I asked like, how many questions? It was like 8 questions.
But of those 8, was there just one that just really stood out as, this is what people are really focusing on?
No, they all pretty much had everything. I'm going to say that. So one thing that I thought, so I like 3 days practice. For me, maybe I'm a little slower than a lot of other guys, but I like 3 days kind of to get together. That I got like 1 day to kind of get acclimated to the lake and run around like a chicken with the head cut off, and then day 2 I start to figure it out, and hopefully day 3 I get dialed in. So I like 3 days, and then, but most of the guys only won 2. And, and I could see that, if we have a regular job, which I don't have a regular job, I own a magazine and I get to work whatever 60 or 80 hours a week I feel like working so I can go fishing. And it's the truth. So, but, a lot of guys that have jobs now, if we do a 3-day pre-fish, then they got to take another day off. So that probably hinges on that question quite a bit.
Right.
Let's talk about off limits. I went over it a couple of times. I think I did a post online, but I wanted to talk about off limits. Now, 8 to 9 day off limits got a little better vote than no off limits or 2-day off limits. However, if I did an 8 to 9 day off limits, there are several of the dates I would not have been able to get, or I would have had to flip for them and maybe not got them, and then maybe not had a date. So I had to work with the other circuits, and compromise. And so they would ask me, they go, okay, what's your off limits? I go, well, why? And they go, well, if you have 8 to 9 day off limits, I can't move my date to that weekend right behind you because it's off limits. Go, oh, well, good point there.
Yeah.
And it happened numerous times. It's not like it happened once where I went, oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just one tournament. I'll figure it out, working around it. Right. But, the event up there, Rick Stone's events up in Shasta, he asked me about it, ABA, Vince, New Gen, all these guys were like, hey, what's your off limits? Because if you're doing 8 to 9 days, I need to know, and then I can't move that day. Well, and then you don't get that day that you want. So I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, the best solution is to have a 2-day off limit. And now, not everybody's happy because a lot of guys want 8 to 9 days. But that's the most amount of people I could make happy with that one decision. So kind of had to make that on the fly at the jamboree, because you're working. I mean, it's a shooting match there. I mean, we're all hog trading and trying to figure out. I want this date. Well, you're on top of me on this date. Can you move to another date? Well, no, I can't move to that date. Or oh well, we could maybe do this. Can you move this? Can you move this to a different lake? It's like, I mean, by the time I got out of there, I was just wiped out. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So, but for my first time going there, I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. That's your first jamboree. So,
I went to one 25 years ago when they like the very first one they ever had.
Yeah. I
went to it and just to see what it was like, and then that's the last time I've been to one.
And it's a little different now.
So
Okay, so you landed on, what'd you say, 2-day off limits, and then
2 days off limits. Yes. So I mean, and it's I think it'll be good for the anglers because the guys that that have a job,
Right.
which just about everybody does, they can come the weekend before and practice.
Yeah.
And then if they only can practice one of the practice days, then they're not like, it's not 2 weeks out where they haven't had any practice. So there's some benefits there. And I'm hoping that everybody can see that. And, the people that don't, hopefully they'll give me a break. And, I did the best I could.
One of the questions I know I'm going to get after this, and people are going to get to me, is why no team tournaments right off the bat?
Here's could be a long story, but I'll make it short.
Okay.
I just getting started in this, so so my deal is that I fished tournaments for years and years. 30 years I've been fishing tournaments.
Yeah.
I go out, they play the national anthem, they blast us off in the morning. I go out and fish. I come back, put my fish in a bag, stand in the line at the tank, bring them up to the scale, weigh them in. They give me my weight, and off I go. And then I hang out, see if I got a check or see what happened, and
Right.
that's what I know about running a bass tournament,
Okay.
and I'm like everybody else. I'm like, man, I wish they did that, or I wish they did this, or, this or that, the other. But really behind the scenes, there's a lot to it. I mean, just figuring out all these different formats and the rules, and which rules do I want to have, what about this and what about that? And there's so many things. I mean, we can spend a long time on practice days. I mean,
Yeah.
so we just spent a little while on figuring out, okay, we have to have 2 practice days, right? Because it got a lot better response than, than the other ones, no practice. And we had to work with these other circuits. So that was, that was a process just coming up with that. Figuring out the dates was a giant process, because you have to be careful. You want to watch, you want to look, and I'll tell you, I called all the other circuits and I said, hey, I'm putting on tournaments. Can I get your dates so I can do the best I can to work around you? And and some of them worked with me, some of them didn't. We won't talk about who didn't, but
Okay.
it's no, there's no sense in spreading any bad news. But some of them didn't. And that's just,
Right.
and that's maybe they felt like I was going to see their dates and put mine on right on top of theirs. I don't know. So, but anyway, I'm not that way. I try to work with everybody. I don't look at any other circuits as competition. I hope we can all work together and have a good time and get a lot of boats and and build the sport of bass fishing.
Right.
But so with dates, right? I need to look at MLF dates. I need to look at one bass dates. I need to look at new gen dates, right? They all have pro-am. So, okay, so I'm going to do the best I can to space out my events fur enough away. Is that a word? Fur enough away to that everybody can fish all of them if they want to.
Bass U, folks. Information is pouring over. If you want to learn more about every lake, how to fish shallow, deep, in between, skipping docks and rocks and cranking, slow wiggling, chatter, smattering, you get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best. If somebody's ever caught a bass on something and perfected the technique, we got you covered. Get on Bass U TV, check it out, sign up, be a member, be part of it, folks. Keep learning. I'm Gerald Swindle. Subscribe to Bass U.
And if they don't, at least my events are spaced far enough. So if somebody wants to fish my whole circuit, they're not like, oh my God, man, you put that one right on top of the other one. I can't fish all those. So it's difficult, and then California has the 6-hour rule in June where you really need to get your tournaments in before or after that.
Right.
And then work around everybody else's date. So it's a process. So I can give you some dates. I have not shared these with anybody. I won't tell you the lakes yet, but I'll tell you some dates.
All right. Let's get it.
February 23rd to the 25th. All our events are Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the top 10 cut after I give you the date. So February 23 to 25, March 15th to 17th, April 26th to 28th, May 17th and 18th. Those are four of my California Pro-Am dates. And then I'm gonna go to Washington Tri-Cities probably mid-July.
Oh,
I don't have
okay.
that one nailed down. Then
Okay.
we're gonna have a champion. We're gonna have a championship October 4th to the 6th. So there's our dates. And I think the California days are really good days, and the lakes we're going to go to, everybody's going to catch them. I'm pretty confident that it's not going to be like, oh man, I only caught 3 fish today. No, it's like, oh man, I caught 30. I just couldn't get that big one.
Right.
That's what, and I want people to have a good time. I want the boater and the co-angler to have a good time. Everybody to catch fish. I mean, it's so much better in a tournament if I'm going to suck and I caught 30 fish, at least I caught 30 fish and had a good time doing that. Right. So, I mean, we all know we've been to Shasta, caught 50 fish and weighed 7 pounds, and you went, oh man, I just couldn't get a good bite.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I think that you really bring when you're looking at this, you're looking at it from such a different way than I think most tournament directors are. Now, next year we'll see if you change or not, because you won't be an angler at that point. You'll be a tournament director. But right now you're still an angler and tournament director. And, you're looking at this at a way of, I want guys to go out. I want them to catch fish. I want them to have a good time. I want this to be a fun event. I think that so many guys don't really look at it that way because they don't care or don't know or don't fish anymore. So they're just, hey, these are the best dates for me. This is what works. This is you guys go out and catch them. That's your problem. And I think you're looking at it differently.
You're right. And in no aspect am I going to stop fishing. Right now I fish 250 days a year. I will probably cut that back to maybe 200. But I'm going to fish MLF. I'll fish some one bass. I don't know if I'll be able to fish all of their events, right, but I'll fish I'll fish one bass and MLF. And I'll probably cherry pick a team tournament or two because, Jody lost his team partner.
Yep. That's the things I was going to talk about with this is that, I think a lot of guys will ask this question too, do you plan on fishing your own event? And we've talked about it, and the answer is
I cannot. I can't.
There you go.
At ICAST, I talked to Ish, and the first thing he goes, "You're done fishing." What are you talking about? He goes, "You can't fish your own events." We didn't like it when Boyd fished ours. So I go, "You're right. I know I can't fish mine. You're right, Ish." So that was one piece of advice that Ish gave me. So
right,
it was good.
And it's good advice. I mean, it's been tried, and guys have done it, and I think it's always come to a very negative conclusion. So I think it's I think it's smart on your part to just say, I'm not even gonna try.
Right. I mean, what would happen if, somebody went, oh, well, I didn't see you hook that fish in the mouth, or you were casting over the buoy line, or you went over 5 and a 5 on our zone, and they're not going to DQ you because you're the boss. Well, it's better if I just don't fish and we don't have that situation.
Yeah. I'd DQ you.
Yeah.
If that makes anybody feel better, I'd DQ you right away.
Good. Hey, let's talk about a little bit about format. And this was not on the survey. It should have been, and I mean, I could have made that survey another 50 questions long.
Of course.
But I hate those big long surveys. And if it has 50 questions, I'm closing it out and I never answer them. My thought is I want to cut the final day to the top 20.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, if we have 100 boats and we pay back, 1 in 5, that means 20 people get paid. So assuming we have 100 boats, I don't know. Guys are like, hey, this is your first year. You're going to get maybe 70 boats. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I've had people come out of the woodwork and say they're going to fish, but they haven't signed up yet. So,
right.
And we have no way to sign up at the moment. So we're working on that. But I'm thinking we're cut to the top 20 rather than the top 10. Just
Right.
a few more guys go. It makes it a little more fun. A little easier to make that final day, and I think that'll be fun. My plan is, and I don't have it dialed in yet, is to have a good Angler of the Year prize. Probably, I'm thinking around $5,000.
Wow, nice.
And then also a no entry fee championship, where it's a real championship, where we take like 25 guys. I'm not taking 75 or 80 guys and then charging an entry fee. And then for me, honestly, if I make the championship and they take 75 guys, I don't feel like I accomplished anything. If it's the top 20, I did something. And no entry fee, cool. And I'm trying to get a big prize for it. I'm not there yet. Like I just acquired the equipment like a week and a half ago. So all this is new and there's a lot in the works. I have 25 people that talked about sponsoring the tournament circuit. We have not, we don't even have all the literature yet to really present them with. So as of right now, I have no sponsors for the tournament circuit, but I think that'll change. And, if the guys are out there and they're interested in doing something, give me a call, we'll talk about it and see what we can work out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that understand that this is a process and you're definitely learning this yourself. And I said it on, I said it last week that, a couple weeks ago that this is, I think it's probably the role that you do bring to this is that as much as it's going to be a little bit up against the wall with, hey, we put money out, we got burned before, but this is Mark and this is somebody totally different. And the way he's done things has always been upfront with us. And I think you open up more doors. And, like you said, when you were at ICAST, there were a lot of people that were excited and heard about it and ran rampant a little bit about while you were there. So I think, sponsors will come. That's not even an issue. Sponsors will come.
I had 3 or 4 say, just send me a contract. I was like, okay, I don't know what the contract's going to say yet. So let's hold on a minute.
Yeah.
But I was flattered that they said that, and I'm hopeful that I have a good reputation. I think, my word is my bond. If I say it, I'm going to do it. There's been many times that I've regretted that, but if I say, hey, okay, I'm going to give you $500 for that. And then I go, oh man, I really didn't want that. I'm not going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to bail on it. No, I'm just going to give you the money and let's go on down the road. In the Marine Corps, we had a saying that said, fail forward fast, right? Fail forward, fail, get up and get on with it and just, live your life and make it better. Do it again. Hopefully not failing again, but, keep on and keep on doing it. So it was one thing exciting. And, we didn't make any announcement about you yet, but we could probably do that right here.
If you want, I'm in. So
So Ed is going to be our new MC at these events. So hope everybody's happy with that. Yeah. If you piss anybody off, you need to call them and make amends, and so they come out and fish us. But I think you do a good job. You have a good positive attitude. You speak well,
I was flattered when you asked me. Honestly, I love this sport. I love the guys that are out there. I think this is such a positive, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I've known you for a long time. I've been with you for a long time, and I'm happy to be doing this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've already put my time aside, and I think we'll cover everything, and we'll get everybody out there pumped up and get these things going. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm hopeful that we can help grow the sport of bass fishing. On the West Coast, that I think that would be huge, to get the kids out, and get the kids out fishing, or, they don't have to be kids. They can be old guys, like me, and get out there and get started fishing and go have a good time. I mean, it's the fish don't know, what color you are, how old you are, or
Nope.
your skill level. You put a bait down there, and they're either going to bite it or they're not. So it's it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot out here, that brings to that. We're in California. I mean, we've got top-notch women anglers out there. We've got top-notch, older guys that are out there. We got top-notch young guys coming up. There's a lot to it, and I think this will be a very good tournament that you can bring so much to. And the way you're doing it, I mean, I know the team events will eventually come, but the pro-ams, the pro tournament, and the kayaks, that's 3 big events right there.
Tired of searching through ads to find bass articles in your favorite fishing magazine? Well, we have a solution for that. Introducing Bass Angler Magazine with over 30 articles in every issue, filled with tips and techniques to help you catch more fish. Follow the pros as they publish the most up-to-date seasonal methods to catching bigger bass. Whether you're a beginner or professional angler, make Bass Angler Magazine part of your gear today. Be a part of the fastest growing bass publication in the nation. Log on to bassanglermag.com with code TV and save 20% when you subscribe now.
It is, yeah, it is, and hopefully I get it all squared away. So I'm going to talk about 2 other things. One is software. You're going to like this. I'm working on a software program with a company that we can we'll be able to weigh the fish, and then once that weight locks in, it'll show up on an app on your phone. So you weigh in, you have 17.22 pounds. It goes boom, Ed Everhart, 17.22 pounds, right? Or you and your team partner or whatever,
right.
Whatever that is. But it'll show up right there, and then it'll also show you the standings. So you'll have everything right there. And what thing that you'll like, and I'll say, team number or angler number 21, Joe Fish, coming to the scales, and then you will be able to have a bio on that guy right on your screen.
Wow. I will like that.
So you're not going to know everybody,
No.
a lot of
new
people,
guys.
You're not going to know everybody, and you're not going to know all their accolades. But we could have their sponsors on there. Could have a little short thing, Joe Fish placed a top 10 in the last tournament on the California Delta. Did a great job. He's sponsored by Sanborn Chevrolet, Gamakatsu Hooks, and Yamamoto Baits. And something where you can say it really quick. And
right.
give the guys some recognition, because that's a big part of it. The survey, the media section on my survey got a really low response. But I'm thinking once these guys see their name in lights, see their picture and their name in the magazine, they're going to have a little different tune. They're going to go, oh, well, maybe that is pretty cool.
They should. I mean, and that's kind of what it is you're giving them that nice little platform right now that, hey, you know what? We're going to give you the platform to talk about your sponsors without necessarily standing there for 20 minutes talking about your sponsors. You're just going to, it'll be there. It'll already be in lights. It'll already be up. It'll be your time is there, but you don't have to come off the water. You're an angler. I mean, it's like how many times you get off the water and you forget somebody or you forget, whatever. And you're just like, I'm burnt. I don't want to stand here and talk for 20 minutes. I'm burnt out. I want to go back to bed.
you want to weigh your fish and get off the stage and go take a nap. Yeah, for sure. And we're all like that. The public probably doesn't see that. They go, hey, well, this guy didn't say much up there. Well, actually he was pretty tired. He should, we try to get up and say something, and sometimes it comes out wrong or you forget.
Yeah. With that kind of said, really quick there, another question I get with your, now there's, I want to get this wrong, but the pro-ams and the pro tournaments with the pro events, just the pro events, are you going to have, hey, you have to be a jersey, you got to have a wrap boat. They're going to be things that they just have to do to be a part of it, or is it going to be more of the traditional style of, hey, if you got your boat wrap, great. If you have a jersey on, great. If you don't, whatever.
There will be requirements.
Okay.
There will be requirements. A boat wrap, I don't, I'm not 100% sold on that. I mean, I wrap my boat, but I've had sponsors, and I've had a lot of things that helped defray that cost. So a jersey, 100%, you got to have a jersey on. I mean, you got to look like you have to be a professional. So the Pro Tour events, and it's not in stone yet. I'm still trying to work this out. Probably is a survey question, but I'm thinking I offer it to the current anglers that were fishing the Wild West Apex Tour.
Okay.
And then I offer maybe the top 10 to the defunct Wild West Tour, top 10 for MLF out west, and top 10 for WON Bass. So I give all those guys, I'll probably do MLF, and WON Bass would be like a one-time shot. Hey, we're trying to get the best anglers in the West. Here's your invite. You can come fish, or you can not fish. Totally up to you. And then, we have our base field, and I'll talk about sponsor exemptions in a second, but we'll have our base field there. And then we'll give them a certain period of time, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years of, they're in, they won't get booted out of it. And then after that, we'll have the bottom level as those anglers drop out, and they'll come up through our Pro-Am division.
Okay, that sounds fair.
So, and there's a number of sponsor exemptions, and I mean that's a really hard one. I mean, because I've heard both sides of it. They're like, well, my sponsor took care of this and they got me in and stuff, but I didn't get any benefit from that sponsor exemption, right? I mean, the BAM tournament trail got zero for that. So I'm struggling with that. Should have let them in. They, the ones that have been in there fishing and made it more than a year. Maybe we do. So that's up in the air. I'm going to say that's probably a good question for a survey, and where guys can go, yeah, or no, or they shouldn't be in there. I definitely, it is not going to be. I've heard it a few times. A secret society, and it is definitely not going to be like that.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be an elite group of Western anglers that get to compete at a higher level, and they'll get better media coverage than they could ever get anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way that the pro tournament should be, right? I mean, you qualify for them, you make the events, you get to fish it. You have it. Everybody out there has the opportunity, as long as their personal finances can control it, to fish the pro-ams and qualify for those events. So what's the difference, right? I mean, you've got the chance. So I mean, I think that's more than fair, to just say, hey, yeah, there is going to be pro teams, but and one of the things, thought yeah. Well, with some of that said, is that it's not the apex, so there won't be the same exact, everything as in it. Is basically what you're saying.
It'll be different. I mean, I fished Apex for a couple of years. I love the tournament. I love the format. All that was cool. I may put that format up for a vote, in the survey, and see what guys liked it, what guys didn't, kind of get an idea there.
Yeah, and that was something else I was going to go off with that format there was, are you going to, with your pro events, are you going to try to do the basically no weigh-in event where you just do everything either, live online or through that? Are you going to, what is your basic?
I believe we will have a weigh-in. Okay. I like the way, I like the stage of the weigh-in. I think that has a lot of value to it.
I agree.
Especially for the places we're going. I mean, there could be audiences there. We can do a live weigh-in. There's a lot of things we can do. I'm planning on live on the water coverage. Exactly what that looks like, that's one of those things that's still in the works. Like I said, I've had the equipment for like 10 days. I've had the dates for 5 days. So all this is happening really fast. The guys are like, okay, what's the dates? How is this going to work? I go, whoa, I don't know. Hold on. Yeah. Let me, I want to get this dialed in and get it figured out and do it right. If I jump the gun and don't do it right, then I got to go back and refigure it, and it'll be a mess.
And you're already going to have to do that anyways, just because that's life and that's the way that things work. But if you can minimize that, then you can minimize it. That's the best. And I think you're doing it right. It's like, take it slow, just do it right and get it done the first time, and then go, okay, next time we need to do this, and make small changes instead of very large ones. So, again, I just think that this is another great opportunity for people. I think there is some, I know you don't want to say it's competition, but there's a little bit of competition out there. But again, you're not really vying for an angler. You're not vying to be the most elite thing ever out here and all that at the same time. You just want to have a great event that people can come out, like you said, have some fun, do some good things, and help them make a name for themselves. Because I think that's, like I said before, I think that's one of the most positive things about you doing this, is because you've been doing this for a while. You know how to promote yourself, and you know what it takes to really promote, get sponsors, be an elite angler, and be out there. And I think giving that opportunity to guys and saying, look, here it is, man, you run with it. I'm not going to do it for you, but you run with it. And here's the platform to do it on. It is just
for
super
sure.
important. I know that you're talking about doing some live stuff. You just talked about that, but and this is probably too early to even ask about, but TV coverage. Do you plan on doing anything with TV at all?
TV
now or in the future?
TV is a difficult thing because TV is very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could be the demise of the circuit trying to do TV. So in the beginning, no, I will not do TV. Honestly, when I watch a fishing show, I'm watching it on YouTube.
Right.
So the plan, in the plan is not concrete yet, is to do an hour show, not a half an hour show, because I don't think you can showcase anglers in a half an hour.
Right.
Do an hour show, and that hour show will go up on YouTube.
Okay, that's fair.
So, and we may do some streaming TV that is more cost effective. But for me to spend $5,000 a week to put it on a TV station that people may or may not watch doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that money has to come from somewhere, right? I mean, now, granted, if I get some sponsor with big fat pockets and says, "Hey, I want TV," then hey, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
But for me to take that $20,000 a month out of the entry fees and the sponsor money and all that, and take that away, I would rather not spend that money or not waste that money and be able to put that back into either the purse or the end of the year pot, angler of the year pot. Do something more constructive with it.
Yeah, that sounds, like I said, that sounds fair to me. I think that YouTube, that sort of thing, is really it's mostly the future. It's kind of what's going on right now and everything else. And like you said, in the future, if somebody comes along and says, "I want a TV show and I want you to be the format," then jump on board and go with that. But like you said, that's a lot of money you can be putting back into it, and that kind of and that does lead us to that one question. I think that and it's a tough question right now, but money wise, how are things going to be run as far as your paybacks? Because I know a lot of guys a lot of circuits have had this new thing where they, you pay your entry fees and then 2 weeks later you get a check in the mail or you get an electronic, whatever. Do you have any idea of what you want to see and what you want to do when it comes to paybacks and that, being upfront with all that?
Right. Well, my goal is to pay back at the ramp.
Okay.
Right after the tournament. However, there are some venues that want a piece of that money if you pay it back at the ramp.
Okay.
So make no mistake, this is a business. As much as I want to take care of everybody and do everything, Mark can't pay for everything. It just doesn't happen that way. That's not a business, right?
Right.
That's a charity, and Mark doesn't have deep enough pockets to make this a charity. So it's a business. And if I have to take money out of the purse, it has to come from somewhere, right? It comes out of my pocket, out of the payout, out of the operating expenses or whatever it may be, but it's basically it's money that is gone. So I would rather not use that. I would rather keep that money in the payback and pay it back to the anglers rather than, pay somebody 5% or whatever it is. So those events that are like that, and I don't know which ones those are yet. Those would be, check would be mailed out the next morning, the day after the event or the first weekday after the event.
Okay. So you're basically siding more on the traditional side of, hey, you'll get your money. It'll be, either that day or it'll go out the next day, just so we could save money on not paying somebody at the ramp to do nothing. And I think that's very understandable. I think that's perfectly fine. I think guys respect that.
I think anybody that knows me knows I don't like to owe anybody any money. It just bugs me, I mean, so I pay it and I go, okay, all right, I'm going to pay you on this day, and if I owe somebody money, it's because I forgot to pay them, not because I didn't want to or I was trying to hide something.
Right.
But I always pay. If I tell you, hey, I'm going to pay the day after the event, and it's the day after that, I'm probably calling everybody going, oh, dude, man, I'm so sorry. The checks didn't go out today. Something happened. But they're all done. They're in the mailbox. They're going out tomorrow. But yeah, I don't like to owe anybody any money. I like it. I like, let's just get it done and taken care of. I mean, honestly, I probably couldn't sleep at night if I owed people money and couldn't pay them. And that's, that's me. I cannot be late at the airport. I'm not usually late for anything, right? Like, remember, if you've been to me at ICAST, I have a pretty tight schedule.
Yes.
I'm not late, and I don't like to owe people money. So those are two things that are my pet peeves.
Are you? And I know it's the first year, but I'm going to ask anyways. So, are you going to have the trailers? Are you going to have the weigh-in stage, that sort of thing, or are you just going to set up and go at the range?
No, I have the trailers. I got the weigh-in stage. I have all that stuff. Right now, they say the other circuits name on the side, so I got to peel that all off. And then, so A&M Graphics is going to rebrand all the trailers and the release boats. We just need to get that done. So I'm going to have to haul this one up to Arizona, or he's going to have to come visit me. He wants me to take him fishing, so he'll probably have to come down here and I'll take him fishing. But yeah, we'll get that done. That's we're working on the design now, so we have to do that. We got the logo, I think, pretty squared away. We have it up on Facebook and a few different places, so people want to go look at it.
And it is going to be it's going to be the BAM tournament.
BAM, Bass Angler Magazine Tournament Trail. So, BAM tournaments, you can shorten it. It's just like Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. You call it BASS and not, not the other thing. Major League Fishing, you call it MLF. So just call it, you can just call us BAM. And then next time you catch a big one, you can go BAM.
There you go.
That's what I want to hear. BAM. Yeah. So, hey, one other thing, and I don't have a date for it. I'm planning on doing a warm-up event. This is to basically get Mark acclimated to behind the scenes, running a tournament, set everything up. I get Steve, I can't say his last name, Manundo. He's going to help me. He knows how to set it all up. I got to get the software figured out. I might drag you out there and, we'll get some guys. And, I think I could probably get a permit from Fish and Game if we do it within this, from June to September, the 6-hour time, because guys don't like to have tournaments.
Right.
So I think we could find a date in there and go do it. Just have some guys come out and, I'll probably put in a little money and maybe get some guys that, everybody chips in $50 and we have, winner take all, or, pay the top 3 or something, something just so I can kind of get acclimated, weigh the fish and figure it out. I think it'll be fun. So it'd be fun if we had a whole bunch of people there, but we'll see how that goes. And I'll advertise that out. I have an email list of tournament anglers, so I'll send it out to them, and I'll put it up on all social channels and stuff. So I'm not ready to do that. I want to get the trailer wrapped first before I do that, and then figure out where everything is. And And so I think that'll be fun. Probably be in August sometime, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Bass Angler Magazine is your guide to better bass fishing. Bass Angler is dedicated to helping you catch more and bigger bass no matter what time of year or where you live. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. Every issue is jam-packed with 30-plus articles from the world's best bass anglers. Bass Angler Magazine is available at bassanglermag.com, Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Gander Mountain, Walmart, and better tackle shops everywhere. Bass Angler also makes a great gift for any angler. Get Bass Angler today and start catching more bass tomorrow. Visit bassanglermag.com or your favorite tackle shop. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. bassanglermag.com.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty going on, and, getting to get all of that under, some kind of a cap to go, okay, before February shows up, we need to have this thing dialed to where it runs smooth. I think that's pretty fair to say. And it's a good, good plan to be ahead of it. And, if something is a snag or something, you need to go, oh shoot, we need to change this. We forgot to do that. We didn't, then you can make all those changes. And it's, like you said, just some random little tournament out in the middle of nowhere that you just do something and have, guys have some fun. And get,
guys understand that it's a learning process for me.
Right.
At the end of the day, after, like the first Pro-Am event, I want guys that go home and go, wow, he did a good job, man. The guy was right there. It was all taken care of, man. There was no messing around. I didn't have to wait an hour and a half in the bag line to get my bags. They let us know what's going on all the time. So, I mean, I like things squared away. It's the old Marine in me, I like them squared away and things taken care of. So, and I want guys at the end of the tournament to go, man, good job. To not only to me, but all, the staff. I'm just, kind of one of the guys there. The staff and everybody else helping run it. I want it to go smooth. Everybody have a good time, and let's do a good job for all the anglers.
All right. I mean, that's pretty much what I think that we, wanted to have with this show, was to really kind of just put out there that, you're out there, you're working hard, you're trying to, I don't want to say not make the mistakes of the past that others have made, but I think, again, saying that you're coming from this from an angler's view will appeal to a lot of different guys, a lot of different anglers that, maybe this will be something different because of the, where you're coming from. That's the simplest way to say it. Just you're coming from an angler standpoint. And I think that's one of the first times I've seen that in a while, that there's actually an angler up there talking about to other anglers and saying, hey, you guys want a good tournament? Come to this tournament, check it out, because we want you to A, have fun, B, catch fish, and just, know that when you come here, we're going to do the best we can to give you the best experience. And that's pretty much what you've been saying.
Done right. It's not going to be a big cluster. So.
Right. I don't know really what to, ask you as far as that goes, other than, some of the little nitpick stuff is going to really come out. And I think that, little things and, will work themselves out in the wash. And, we can just hopefully this turns out great, man. I'm really behind you on this, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And, I hope that a lot of anglers come out and see it and, experience and have fun with it and let this thing grow. Because I think one of the biggest things is that we were on this trail to actually become a force out here in the West Coast, to have a true West Coast tournament and be somebody that could rival, a BASS maybe in the future. I mean, we've got 2 of their letters already. We're just missing the last 2, and BAM's better anyways, right? So, it's something that I think has real potential. And with a guy like yourself as the leader of it, I think it's something, even though you'll never stop fishing. I just know that, man. I've seen you on the water, And I'm sorry, guys, but this guy's not going anywhere as far as fishing.
I was fishing today and
Oh.
yesterday and the day before. So,
yeah,
but I get up early, I do some magazine work, did a little work on the tournament stuff. And then, I fished all day, and then I came home and now I'm on the podcast. So, it never stops, but that's okay. I love fishing. I love everything with the sport. It's awesome.
And that's kind of it. I mean, like you said, unfortunately, you and Jody White won't be doing anything together, during any, for a while, just because of this. But I don't know. I think this is a good tournament, and I'd love to see where it can go. Do you have plans for this to get pretty big? I mean, everybody's going to go in with some kind of an event, a venue, and say, oh no, I definitely want it to grow this or want it to grow that. But what is the reality of BAM? Where do you think this trail can go? Can it be that big?
It could be. I mean, I've already had people approach me from back east. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, man. Let me get some tournaments under my belt before we even talk about anything else.
Right.
So I had an auto repair shop in Pleasant Hill, and then after the city came in, booted me out, intimate domain, right? So I had to do something. So I got hired by a fishing company as a product manager. Well, doing that, I would get a product done, dialed in, ready. We get up on the shelves. It's in the tackle shops. Everything's going good. And before that, it was even done, the boss came and goes, hey, let's do this. Let's build rods. Okay, all right, let's make these armbands. Okay, now we're gonna do these shirts. Or now we're gonna do. I'm like, whoa, hold on. We're not making any money on all these other things. We're making money on this one thing. Let's get this going good, and then we'll go on to the next one. Well, he didn't like that, so I eventually lost that job. But but it was better. I fished way more after that anyway. But I could just see that it was like, hey, let's learn to walk before we run.
There you go.
And let's get this dialed in and get it done right. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I want guys to go, wow, that was a good event, man. Thanks, Mark, or thanks, guys, good job with putting it all together, and that'd be good, good job, Ed, doing the MC and all that, because honestly, I care. If I didn't care, I would have kept my money and I'd just go fishing. Maybe I'd go to Texas and go fishing. I'd do whatever. I did not have to do this deal.
Right.
I didn't have to spend this money and spend all this time getting this done and not fish these tournaments, Right. Yep. But I want to because I care. I think it can be great. And I think we can get more people involved. I think we can probably bring some of these people out of the woodwork. Maybe some of my old friends will come out and fish still.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good.
And that's something you touched on right there that I want, I really wanted to work this into this show too, is I think a lot of people have forgotten one, pretty important thing in this whole thing is there are guys out there that decide they're going to start a tournament trail or whatever. And they come out here and they go, oh yeah, I'm just out here. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make money. But you've learned something through just this short process. It costs a lot of money to put these on. So your vested interest is really in, I don't want to fail because I would lose a lot of money. And I know you don't like to lose money. So, I think that's an important part that people need to realize is that everything we talk about, and I know that money is not the central part of this, the fishing experience, being out there with the guys, being out there on the water, because I've done this just as well as you have. And it's all part of it, but in the end result, it's still a business, like you said, and you're still out there trying to basically not fall on your face with it. So you're going to try to run this the right way. And
we're going to have to make some money because I'm not a rich guy. I'm not poor, I'm not broke, but I'm not rich by any means. So, so we need this to work, and I am very motivated to make it work, just like the magazine, I worked the magazine. I'll tell you, like 15 years ago, I was broke, dead broke. And, and I built it up from there. So,
Yeah.
A lot of guide trips, a lot of finagling, working on sponsors, trying to figure out how to, for a while I didn't have a boat. So I had to get a boat sponsor because I couldn't afford to buy a boat. So I got a boat sponsor, and then able to use that boat. And then I was guiding and then start making a little money there. And, it all built up. So, I know how to bring it up from nothing and make something out of it. And I think I can do it.
Good. That's basically what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I really
Yeah.
wanted to hear was that, I've been out there with you with this magazine too. I've hustled, I've worked with it, and I know what it takes to put it, and you put in a lot of work. I mean, I will always say that about Mark is that I work hard and he's out there working hard too. He is not, I've watched him at ICAST at different shows. He hustles and he's willing to do the work, and
Thanks.
I think
Appreciate
you guys,
that,
I think you guys are in for a treat with this event. I think that, as we wrap this show up tonight, I hope you got a lot of the questions, answered, and everybody, if you didn't, you can always talk to me, and you send me messages. I get messages and calls and everything all the time after these shows. So I expect it. And, if there's something you want answered and I can answer it, and if I'm not, I'll ask Mark. And if he can't answer it, then you just have to wait till it comes out. Other than that, I think,
you know what? I'm always available. Guys are calling me and texting me and emailing me all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind. I'm there. I'm here. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent 40 minutes talking to a guy I met at a tournament a few months back, about the new circuit. And he's like, I only fish the Delta, but I may come out and fish all your events. I was like, wow, he goes, I go, man, that really makes me feel good. That's cool.
Yeah. And I think what
So,
basically
so I'm here.
I think basically one of the things I was going to is that right there is that one of the things different is that Mark is also pretty transparent. I think when you see the way this is done and you see the way this is run, you'll know the difference. And he's not hiding things. He's not trying to deceive you. He's not, asking for or anything, just out here wanting to do this circuit. And mostly he wants to do it for the anglers because he's, an angler, and he thinks that, you deserve better and you deserve to be treated like he would like to be treated. So, this should be a good tournament. And I wanted you to come on here to be able to say the things that you wanted to say, the things that are, talk about this tournament so that people can kind of understand what it's going to be different and how it's going to be different. So I think you did that tonight, but.
Well, thanks, Ed. I appreciate it. Glad to be on. Glad to talk. Guys have questions. I'm losing my voice because I've been talking for an hour straight. But anyway, I'm available unless it's after about 9 o'clock because that's my bedtime. Because I wake up at 4:30. So
yes.
So don't call me at the middle of the night, or I won't answer it. I'll let you take my phone in my room. So, but I'm here early. If anybody wants anything, they can call me. So my cell phone is all over the place, and just about everybody has it.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks for the show, man. This was a good one. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions, and we can go from here. So,
all right. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah,
pleasure.
No problem. Thanks, and guys, we'll see you on the next one. I got to see who I can get now. We'll start talking about fishing again.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you on the next show. Thanks for tuning in.